Imagine stepping into a world where you can finally breathe, where you are no longer hiding who you truly are. A world where love doesn't come with restrictions, where gender is not defined by old norms, and where being different isn't something to hide, but to embrace. Today, we dive deep into the heart of the word queer, a term that has evolved from a weapon of harm to one of pride, empowerment, and inclusivity. In this video, we will explore what it truly means to be queer, how queer identities have been shaped by history, and the journey of reclaiming this powerful word. Along the way, we'll also explore how media representation plays a pivotal role in shaping perceptions about the queer community. Let's begin with the history of the word itself. Queer has a deep and complex past. Once used as a slur, the term was hurled at individuals who didn't conform to traditional gender roles or sexual identities. For much of the 20th century, queer was a term that perpetuated hatred and stigma. However, the power of the queer community cannot be underestimated. Over time, queer individuals and activists reclaimed the word. What once symbolized exclusion became a term of liberation. It stands for pride in one's identity, and more importantly, it signifies a collective movement of freedom, authenticity, and resilience. The transition from derogatory to empowering was not immediate. It took years of protest, advocacy, and art. The queer community began using the term not just for sexual orientation, but as an inclusive umbrella that encompasses various identities: bisexual, pansexual, asexual, non-binary, and others. The phrase queer identity started to symbolize the beauty of fluidity and non-conformity in a world that often demands clear categories. To be queer is to embrace a fluid identity that transcends societal norms. While historically the LGBTQ+ community has been labelled in fixed terms like gay or lesbian, the word queer allows for a greater sense of openness and individuality. It's an identity that resists definitions and invites exploration. When people refer to themselves as queer, they're often signalling that they don't fully align with traditional notions of gender and sexuality. This includes individuals who might identify as bisexual, pansexual, or even individuals who are gender fluid. The beauty of the queer identity is in its elasticity. It's not confined by rigid lines, but instead embraces a spectrum. One of the most significant aspects of being queer is the ability to express one's sexuality and gender in any way that feels authentic. Unlike other labels, queer provides the freedom to exist beyond predefined boxes. For instance, a person who identifies as queer might be someone who is still exploring their sexual orientation, or may identify as someone whose feelings and desires aren't neatly categorized. While being queer is something to be celebrated, it doesn't come without challenges. Despite the progress we've seen in terms of acceptance, LGBTQ+ individuals, especially those who identify as queer, still face significant societal hurdles. One of the greatest struggles is social acceptance. Many queer individuals face discrimination in personal relationships, at work, or even in everyday interactions. It's a sad reality that queer people often have to hide their identity or face backlash, judgment, and even violence. The concept of coming out is still a painful process for many. Furthermore, despite increasing representation in the media, queer characters are often underrepresented or misrepresented. While a handful of films and shows have made strides in showcasing queer identities, there's still a long way to go in terms of authentic representation. Too often, queer characters are either relegated to side roles or their identities are used as a plot device. Another issue within the community is the erasure of certain queer identities. For example, bisexual and asexual individuals are often overlooked or misunderstood within both mainstream culture and the broader LGBTQ+ community. Bisexual people are sometimes faced with prejudice from both heterosexual and gay communities, and asexual people are often invalidated altogether. For the queer community to truly be inclusive, it must recognize and support all forms of identity and sexual orientation. Now, let's talk about something that's been instrumental in shifting perceptions: media representation. In the past, queer characters were often hidden, stereotyped, or portrayed as tragic figures. This lack of representation was damaging, reinforcing harmful stereotypes and limiting the visibility of queer individuals in popular culture. However, in recent years, we've seen an incredible shift. Shows like Pose, RuPaul's Drag Race, and Sex Education have provided platforms for diverse queer voices and stories. Characters like Billy Porter in Pose have broken barriers by being unapologetically themselves, offering a beacon of hope and visibility for the queer community. Queer characters are now being portrayed with depth and complexity, and their stories are being celebrated. These stories are no longer limited to just romantic relationships, but also explore themes of family, friendship, mental health, and identity. It's a new era of storytelling, one where queer characters are living, thriving, and growing just like anyone else. This shift in representation is incredibly important as it fosters empathy and understanding among a broader audience. The more we see queer stories and experiences represented in a positive and nuanced light, the more acceptance and respect can be cultivated in society. As we wrap up today's video, I want you to reflect on the importance of embracing diversity and inclusivity. Queer is not just a label, it's a revolution in the way we think about gender, sexuality, and the human experience. It's about breaking free from outdated norms and creating a world where everyone, regardless of their identity, can live their truth. Whether you identify as queer or not, we all have a responsibility to support and uplift those who may not feel seen or understood. Education is key, and the more we learn about each other's experiences, the stronger and more compassionate we can become. So, let's continue to champion love in all its forms. Let's fight for the right of every individual to define themselves and to live without fear. Remember, the queer community has already shown us the power of reclamation, the beauty of fluidity, and the strength found in vulnerability. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, share, and comment below your thoughts about what it means to be queer and why representation matters. Don't forget to subscribe for more content on important social topics like this one.